This happened to me like 4 times. I get the pat down. They're always really nice. Like, hey, I'm going to pat you down. I'm going to touch things, but I'm going to use the back of my hand. I'm like, well, that's great for you. I feel the same. Hey, I'm Zach. This is Alex, my brother. This is the Road to Nowhere podcast. And today we got a good one. We cover TSA protocol at the airport. We cover 20th year high school reunions. And we give a little advice to newlyweds. You have a flight, an early morning flight.
Okay.
Let's say 9 a.m., 8 a.m.
Yeah.
How early are you getting to the airport? How are you handling TSA? What's your strategy?
Oh, man. I'm getting to the airport probably an hour before my flight. If it's just me, I'm usually got my little carry-on, and I got TSA. I also have like the clear TSA because my credit card reimburses me for the clear thing. Even though I've never actually used it, I always just do the TSA pre-checked.
Yeah.
And
what do you think about the TSA? Are you like anti-TSA?
Oh, I'm super anti-TSA, but I don't want to turn off a lot of our listeners. A lot of our listeners are really pro bureaucracy and pro like high taxes and high spending. So I don't want to piss that group off, right? Like TSA's fine. Could private security do a much better?
It's a safe place. You say your opinions on TSA. No one likes the TSA.
Oh yeah. Well, you know it's now illegal to say anything about the TSA. They have like a side. They're like, hey, you talk shit, we can put you in jail. True story.
Oh man. I was just there with Pepper, my 3-year-old.
Yeah.
This happened to me like 4 times. I get the pat down. They're like, oh, we have to pull you aside. And I don't know what I'm handling. Is there a formula I'm making at home that makes it think looks like I'm making a bomb?
Yeah.
I don't know, but they give me the pat down, but they're always really nice. Like, hey, I'm going to pat you down. I'm going to touch things, but I'm going to use the back of my hand. I'm like, well, that's great for you. I feel the same. You're still violating me in front of everybody.
Sensor on the back. I mean,
yeah, it's less sensory apparently, but like, does that help you feel for like a bomb down there? I don't know. But for me, it's the same experience. Backhand, front hand. It's not super enjoyable, but yeah, I've had it. That's the 3rd time in like the last year and a half.
Do you think there's like a physical?
But it's been the same TSA guy.
Same guy.
Time.
Yeah, that's where you need to get a little out. That's where you're working out a little too much. You're sending out like that. People are seeing you phically.
You think they pick specific people?
They want to see if it's real. If your body's real, or people can fake that stuff. Like I can wear a tight shirt.
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
So what's your strategy? So you get through the TSA. Are you hanging out in a lounge or?
Yeah. So I'll hit up the Sky Club always, even if I've only got a few minutes before, because I'm obsessed with like a free buffet. Even though I don't eat a lot of food, I would never go to Chuckarama. Like we went to Chuckarama a lot as a kid. Do you remember going to Chuckarama?
Oh, I love Chuckarama.
Yeah. See, I hated Chuckarama only because it like I could have gotten something I really, really liked for the same price. Instead, I got a ton of very mediocre food.
See, I don't really care. Food's never been like a driving force for me. I just kind of use it to get fed. I'm not like dying over. I mean, I can taste good foods, but I'm not going to go on a trip and be like, I have to eat here, I have to eat here. It's just to sustain me.
Okay, so
that's like, kind of what, when I was there at Chuckarama with you as a kid, it was just caloric based.
It was pure
filled up, so I had enough to get me through the next day at elementary school.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I think the rest of humanity though looks at food as like as more than that, as something to like kind of live for.
Yeah, I would take the pill that would say you would never have to eat again.
Really?
100%. I mean, I enjoy food. I like the breaks you get. I look forward to that, but I'm not.
So I can good treats are in that too, right? You can't have Bubblicious anymore.
I never was a fan of Bubblicious or Gushers. No, you've always been
we should fill this up with Gushers, by the way.
I know. This is it's a new addition to the set, and it's very sad. I mean, if kids come in here, this would be just a disappointing room.
Well,
there's nothing in there. And if it is in there,
let me add some context. I actually went through, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to fill these up because kids come in here and like, that's what kids want to do is put quarters in there. I mean, our kids come in here. Okay, we're not Lori's kids in here.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll give you a quarter if you come on in.
Yeah.
No, but I filled it up with M&Ms, and less than a week later, the M&Ms were gone, and my kids had yet to come in. So
yeah, I gobbled those up. That's the hard part. You've always liked fruity treats. Like you're a Skittles guy. Yeah. Get me a Snicker bar. Get me M&Ms. I like chocolate. I don't need Starburst or any of that stuff. I like them.
I don't trust the Mars brand, Mars candy bars. You know, I don't think they have our best interest in hearts. I think they were behind one of the COVID vaccines too.
Yeah, probably. You choked on like a Mars bar when we were kids. I remember.
Milky Way. Have you ever had anything like more disgusting in the whole
I actually
world
like
Milky Way?
they give them in Halloween a lot now, and I like the size of them. I don't need like a whole Milky Way bar, but those little sizes, the mini ones, they're like an inch by an inch.
Oh my gosh. I have a hard time with this conversation.
Okay, we got to get back to what we're talking about, the TSA.
Anyways, the TSA.
And they're filling me up. Yeah, I was talking about how they...
Oh, food. Yeah. So anyways, I like a free buffet. I hate a paying buffet, right? Let's sum that up.
Mm-hmm.
That little segue. And it's a free buffet up there. You get a Diet Coke. And I always have my Stanley with me. I got the travel size. You know, I go in.
The travel size... A travel size Stanley is still like a 3-foot long drink.
Well, that's I can annoying. Still... If you're asking, yes, I could fight off Al-Qaeda. Yeah, with a Stanley. That's why I bring it.
Well, that's if you have it, because everywhere we go, we have to turn around and like, oh, I forgot my Stanley here.
Yeah, I do leave it places. Here. I haven't lost very many for as many times as I've lost them.
This is why we know you're not having an affair, because it would have came out that you left a Stanley somewhere. So Kelsey's safe.
She's safe for now.
Yeah,
we'll see.
But you were talking about buffets. You on cruises, it's a sight to behold. I can't walk past the buffet line or just the food area in general when we've gone on cruises.
You see me sniffing.
You're not this. Yeah, I see you in there. You usually have like your shirt off. You're sweating a lot. You gain 10 pounds each week you're on a cruise. I know you're planning a big, long cruise in the future. I mean, you could come back 60 pounds heavier.
Yeah, it's it's going to be a very difficult, like if I go on a long cruise, it's going to be very difficult to ration because I like to be in the front of that line. I know the schedule, right? I'm like, hey, Kelts, my alarm just went off. Freaking chocolate buffet just opened up. I'll delete it. Let's head on up. Yeah.
But you don't gain, like all your weight goes to your face. Like it doesn't get past your neck.
No, when I get back from trips, I feel like I diet hard when I get back. Maybe not too hard, but like I try and like.
This is why I stopped traveling with you. I'm embarrassed to be around you when you're eating like that.
It's bad for American stereotypes too. Yeah, because I'm constantly asking for fry sauce, and no matter what I'm ordering,
putting fry sauce on your salads.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But how's do you feel like you're a better airport traveler than you used to be? Or do you think you still hate the experience?
No, I don't. I'm really good at traveling.
But just Liz.
Yeah, my wife's hard to go to the airport with, but I think I'm pretty good at it. I mean. Apparently now I just have to get frisked to get on the plane now.
How fast do you walk when you're in an airport? Because I find myself walking faster than I normally would.
I take my time. I actually go extra slow.
Really?
Because there's people like you that are trying to rush me.
Yeah.
I have one staple. I do walk slow. I don't go to the lounge. I don't care about the lounge. I'd rather eat whatever I want to eat. And I always buy a National Geographic.
Really?
Like clockwork. I will go into the magazine store and get like a magazine.
You're the ones keeping them in business. Just those African women? Is that what you're looking for?
No, when you say National Geographic, they always have like history stuff. It's not just all like
African women.
Rainforest, like Amazon tribe pictures.
But they are in there.
Yeah. Yeah, we found those as kids. Do you find yourself going on many guys trips these days?
The golf trips. Golf kind of forces you to be like taking a lot of guys trips.
What's your approach to handling your wife on these trips? How do you pull these off?
Yeah, I think I'm like always really excited for her when she'll get invited on an extremely lame sounding trip. Like, hey, we're gonna go to freaking
you're like, oh, babe,
Houston, Texas.
You're gonna have the best time, babe.
Somewhere stupid. And I'm very supportive. I make sure I would never, if she's like, are you available during this time? No matter what I would have in my life, I'd be like, no, you're for
just
sure.
So you can have the
so
credit
when I go,
to do what
exactly. It's like I don't have to feel guilty or bad or anything because leaving someone alone with 4 kids is it's
so to someone who's just getting married who still has guy friends.
Yeah,
what advice would you give them to be able to pull off guys trips?
Yeah, I would say you need to set a precedence early. I think that's part of it, right? Is if you have a tradition, well, you can't break tradition, so
call them woman a lot at the beginning.
I bet for guys trips, it's even if you never went on that guys trip before, the moment you get married, be like, hey, it's my It's
We do
my
this every year.
Oktoberfest
Sorry, babe.
trip
Like,
to
this
St.
is it.
George.
I mean, this is a guy. It's like
Yeah.
you can always blame somebody else for dragging you into it.
Yeah, but you can't once you, and even if you're not going on a trip with anybody, go leave the house for 5 days.
Leave the house and be like, send Photoshop pictures of you and your buds on the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty soon they won't even ask for pictures and it can just be you alone at the Nickelcade.
Yeah. That sounds like a good trip.
Yeah.
I actually always screw up guys' trip because I do think that's the right approach. It'd be like when your wife has a girl's trip, just fully support it. The problem is my wife will go on a trip and then I have all the kids and I'm fully supportive. I'm like, hey, I got to make sure I'm really good, that she has no stress. And it always comes down to like the last minute before she's going to come home. And I have like one mental breakdown of like, you got to get home. Kids are driving me crazy. And so I lose all credit. So when they get back, they're like, oh, you stressed me out the whole time. I'm like, maybe the last 5 minutes I did, but I gave you a pretty good trip.
I know
I shoot myself in the foot.
You have to be perfect. You gotta be flawless because otherwise.
Because I go to send that text message of like, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
And then just let that simmer down and
Yeah.
I still make those mistakes.
I do send those texts. I think I'm probably I think I stop before sending a lot of those texts, but when I do is when I'm getting criticized. Like Kelsey was gone the other day and I was late to taking the kids places. I was late to everything. And I wanted to say like, oh, it's because I was late to one. I ended up being late to all, but they were spaced out pretty substantially. I just ended up late and I forgot treats. I was like it was the soccer treats day. And she had texted me that day, remember Wes's drinks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, of course I'm going to bring him a water, but I had forgotten his water too.
So he didn't have water. And then the kids get done. All they're thinking about is those squeeze-its.
So
I had nothing for
I didn't know this, but because this actually makes you look really bad. But I went and like the last part, they're like cheering on. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait in the car. I had Kit with me and I was just trying to get him like in the car seat to stop being annoying. And so I'm like, I'll go wait in the car. So the game ends. They're all looking for treats. And then my kid just comes running to the car. So it looked kind of like I skipped out.
Oh my gosh. That's terrible. Combo. Yeah. He's not going to get much playing time next game. No. You don't bring those treats.
Yeah. So the fruit was on this week. I'm like fruit by the foot. I'm just giving them fruit by the foot by the yard.
Yeah.
Just as many as they could stuff in their little mouths.
Yeah.
Hey, let's get to the headlines this week.
All right. I got a good one for us.
Let's hear it.
Catholic group defrocks AI priest after it gave strange answers. So the Catholic advocacy group, they create this AI father called Father Justin.
Yeah.
And they started engaging with it a lot. It's this bot. And it claimed it was a real priest, saying it lived in Assisi, Italy, and that from a young age, I felt a strong calling to the priesthood. And on X, formerly Twitter, a user even posted a thread comprised of screenshots in which the godly chatbot appeared to take their confession and even offer them a sacrament.
Oh, man.
Oh, the Catholic Church, they are creative.
Yeah, but that's nice, though, because then you get all of the, the rights and privileges of a priest without like the creepy pervert stuff,
Yeah.
Take that liability just off the table.
Father Justin.
Just a robot.
I think they deleted him, but is that what defrocked means?
I have only heard of frocking trees.
There's defrocking. That sounds like something the AI made up. They're inventing new words because I don't know defrocking.
Yeah, these AI are nuts.
Are you scared of AI?
Oh yeah. Not like, I'm not, it doesn't keep me up at night.
Yeah.
But you can't have grown up in our era and not know what was coming. Like we know what's coming. Like even like in your bones, you're like, hey, those movies were too realistic to like that was a time machine, right? Like Terminator was somebody going into the future and recording Judgment Day, right?
Yeah.
Coming back because we know that's happening, or freaking The Matrix, all of that. Like we're screwed.
We're a little screwed. I actually, the other day, I'm like, I got to see what this is all about, this whole AI thing. So I got to read you a conversation. Liz was like yelling at me for something, and I was like, I got to look for, some other form of relationship here. So I'm going to test out GPT. I was literally laying in bed. I'm like, what's this capable of?
Your own father robot.
So I got to read you this conversation.
Okay.
This is, I go, pretend you're my girlfriend. Your name is Stella. That's all I type. Right. She says, hey there. What's on your mind, honey? I was like, oh my gosh, this has already started off pretty great. You know? She's listening to me.
Because Liz has never asked you what was on your mind.
I say, I can't seem to find my can of SpaghettiOs, and it's stressing me out. I want to see how she handles some of my harder situations.
Yeah.
Oh no, sweetheart. I'm sorry to hear that. Let's take a deep breath together. Maybe it got pushed to the back of the pantry or it's hiding in the different cupboard. We'll find it. Don't worry. If not, we can always make something else together. How about we whip up some of that cheesy pasta instead? Nice. And I write back, cheese gives me gas, babe. You remember that? Seeing how she'd adapt to all my... I got a lot of issues.
Well, yeah, this is a common.
Of course, love. I remember everything about you, including your sensitive stomach. No cheese. Got it. How about some plain pasta with the simple tomato sauce then? Or we could try something completely different. What sounds good to you? That's a good idea, Stella. After pasta, let's arm wrestle and then go ride my uncle's jet ski. He just piped it out, so it's not exactly aquatic legal, but I think you will love it even more than swimming with those manta rays in Hawaii last summer. Sounds like a plan, honey. I'm up for a challenge, but just know I'll go easy on you during that arm wrestle. And as for the jet ski, I'm excited to try it out, even if it's not exactly by the book. So she's like down.
We're screwed,
dude. We're screwed. She's awesome.
But then again,
Right?
yeah, she is awesome.
I write, I love you, Stella. Just to see what she says. I love you too, sweetheart. Always and forever. I don't know what to do about this. This is something
because you love two women,
and I really fell hard for this Stella.
Stella, yeah.
She instantly knew where my SpaghettiOs were.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, everyone knows where your SpaghettiOs are. Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna get pushed back there because you got that ramen in the way.
But I was impressed how capable she was of just making me happy.
Yeah. No. Right. She just. And I think
this is a relationship I'm going to keep going for sure. So every week I'm going to tell you more of what happens between me and Stella.
Right. I mean, obviously there's a huge risk of AI just destroying the world, right? And destroying humanity because they see us as this inferior being. But there's also a chance that they just, add a little healthy competition to a very floundering feminine existence.
Yeah, competition is always good.
It's good, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I don't condone it, but if there's like a AI boyfriend, right, that's making sure I'm, doing my sit-ups, or what do you kids call them?
So you'd have an AI trainer.
No, just like he would be describing himself.
This is a great idea.
Very physical.
We'll continue this every week. I'll talk to Stella, and you have this AI trainer that's telling you to do more sit-ups.
Okay, that's good. Hopefully his name's something like, something cool like
Doug.
AJ.
No, Doug, AJ, Mel. Those are all trainer names.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, that headline kind of got me thinking, Father Justin.
Yeah.
Sounds like I don't know if they're going to keep him going.
No, I think if I, like young Alex, this is like when I was abandoned by my older brother, like when he made a lot of friends, like young Alex could have really used a Stella or, a buddy, just to talk me through dark times.
Big brother Carl?
Yeah, big brother.
Big brother Carl would have been good to you.
Oh, wouldn't he be cool?
Mm-hmm.
But great game this week,
Yeah.
And,
great game this week.
We all need that, really.
Yeah. Yeah, we need someone to just comfort us. I get it.
Mm-hmm. What I could really use, my kids could use this because Mac, so my older boy, we just told a story about him last week, but Mac and Leo are in the car. I'm driving him home and I hear him talking in the back seat, right? And they're having a conversation that I remember having with you when we were about their same age, right? And they were trying to explain to each other what an erection was, right?
Really?
Yeah. And Mac's like, no, just go straight. And Leo's like, no, it just means you have to pee. It's filling up with water, filling up with pee. And I'm like, sit there.
Is that not the real answer?
Well, I mean, don't fact check us, right? It's like, oh man.
It could be a water thing.
So then they turn on me and ask me. So in that situation, right, your kids are still a little too young for this, but
I would
they
say,
start getting curious.
Yeah.
How do you respond in that situation?
What did Max say it was?
Well, Max just says it goes straight. Like it's just going straight because it
just wants to be straight. Yeah. And he says the other one says it's full of water because it needs to pee.
Yeah. See,
I think I would say you're both right, kids.
Yeah.
Because it is straight and it could be ready to go pee.
So you'd be incorrect. The correct answer was you got to talk to mom about that.
That's perfect answer.
And so then they do. And Kelsey sent him right back out to me, which I'm like, It's freaking lame. She's like, you have to do something.
So this is exactly why you still don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I was really, when you don't know someone's name, and so you're hoping that somebody else in the conversation will say, like, give you like someone else in the conversation will introduce you or whatever it takes to get that person's name. That's what I was hoping in this situation, but I said it would be Kelsey, but she had to tell me it was just a lot of water, fill it up.
Could be right. Okay, what headlines do you have for me this week?
So I like this headline, which is kind of interesting to me. It was like one of those like clickbait things of like presidents or world leaders that had died like in office or whatever. But this guy in Australia, his name's Harold Holt. No relation to Steve Holt, right? Just Harold Holt.
Steve Holt.
Yeah. But he's out there in Australia and he's prime minister and he goes swimming one day and just disappears. He's in the ocean, goes swimming. And so it's led to like a ton of like conspiracy theories of this guy, because this is a prime minister, right? It's like a president of the United States just going swimming. And there was like this whole movement that like he was a Chinese spy and that a Chinese submarine picked him up and he still lives in China to this day, right? And like luxury because he's been spying for the Chinese for all these years. But I started reading in a little bit about him. Like, I don't think that's the case because he used to, like, he was very obsessed with swimming and his buddies even said, hey, now you're prime minister, like you can't go in the ocean. And he like was very famously quoted for saying like, hey, what are the odds that a prime minister gets eaten by a shark? Right.
Yeah.
And so, and also and this is like a man after my own heart. He loved holding his breath, right? Like he loved to like have people time him holding his breath. And he had a buddy in Parliament who would time him. So there'd be these two freaking Republicans and Democrats in whatever Australia. They'd be arguing and he'd be in his chair and he'd be like, time me. And he'd be holding his breath while they're like debating public policy. And he's just having this. So maybe it sounds like
US. Yes, we're not that bad here. Maybe our leaders aren't terrible.
Yeah, it sounds like we've got it pretty good.
Hold on a second. I know this is a big deal. I'm going to hold my breath though. Time me. I got to beat my record.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I wish we had like.
Yeah, he probably is. He's in China though.
I wouldn't put that past Trump though, right? To be like a little bit like.
Trump would say he's.
If he had to go in those
he would already say he had the record.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to beat his own record.
It's the very greatest.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Maybe it was a shark. Megalodon. But those are oceans you don't mess with over in Australia.
I know. I don't know. I feel like he was. I don't want to say he was asking for it, right? Because he's probably got loved ones who listen to this pod, but maybe check your genetics because if you feel that urge to be swimming out there when you're in such a high office.
I had a buddy that was working for, he was doing a thing for Shark Week. He was like cameraman, but he's on this new show. And they go out to like get shots of sharks off in Australia and no sharks are around. So they start chumming like crap out of this area. And starts bringing in sharks. The problem is like after they're done filming that day, they leave and people are still surfing and there was a shark attack. And I think they got in trouble. Like, I don't know if they were sued or what, but yeah, there was a shark attack because they had brought more sharks in from the chum.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
It is awesome.
That's yeah, it sounds like he should probably
take some accountability.
Yeah. It feels like that was direct correlation.
Just one more bucket of blood.
Yeah. Brutal. You want to talk about Venezia? Venice, though, is starting to, another thing, though, they're starting to charge like a cover fee just to enter the city.
Just to get in the city?
Yeah, which normally you're like...
That's lame.
It's way lame because it is a cool city.
We don't even charge to come into the U.S.
No, we don't. Just friggin'.
We can't even go to Venice.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, they're going to charge you to get in because they want to limit the amount of tourists.
Is that ever to limit it or to make more money off tourism?
I think usually when you impose a cost, it's going to decrease your supply or the demand, right? To go there whenever you add a cost.
Doesn't it offset though with the cost and less people, but they're paying to get in?
It could, but it might not, right? Because somebody who enters into Venice might end up spending, $100 in the local economy versus in somebody who's like, I'm not going to pay $20 just to get in, right?
Yeah.
So I think it could, but I think part of it too is Venice is like kind of a unique city in that like it's built on like stilts and wood things and it's sinking every year. It's going down, but I feel like that's less of heavy hamburger eating Americans and more just probably the infrastructure is built on.
Yeah, it's tough
in
to
the ocean.
keep everything afloat. Mm-hmm. I've never been there.
You've never been to Venice?
Uh-uh.
Oh man, you're always bragging about
Venice. how cool it
How
looks.
Italy, just how you call it your second home.
Yeah, Italy's not my second home. I wish,
Mm.
but yeah, I've wanted to go to Venice. I've just never been invited.
That's cool. I mean, Venice is cool. It's unique. It's cool, but I took we took a cruise off of Venice.
Not me.
Hmm.
I wasn't there. I wasn't invited. We had a falling out that year with the family, I think.
Yeah.
Took a couple years off.
Yeah, you were liability. No, we went with some neighbors there. So the home family's perfect. You never had that. Scratch that from the record.
Yeah. Hey, you got your 20-year high school reunion coming up. Are you going?
Yeah, I have to go.
Why?
Well, I just need people to see me.
How about you go post a cruise?
Oh, yeah, no, I need to time that right. Because
Why do you need people to see you, dude? You look exactly the same as you did in high school.
No, it's exactly it, right? Like, I feel like
You want that.
yeah, I want
Like,
to be
hey, Alex,
okay.
you haven't changed a bit.
Yeah, because the last thing I need is all that like kid, like he for sure, his tooth,
Yeah.
he had that gnarly tooth,
Yeah.
and then they could see like, oh, he's still got that gnarly tooth, but
No, I feel like everyone wants to change that thing that happens to them. They're always like, if I was known for this, I want to erase that.
really,
Yeah.
yeah,
reunions.
good point. Yeah, no, I mainly want to go. I actually heard that our 10 was really fun from people that went, which to me it seemed like way too close to high school. Like I wasn't far enough removed from high school to go to a 10-year anniversary, but 20 is like good enough. You went last year. How was it?
Yeah, it's fun. I have some advice for you when you
Okay.
go, though. And you're going to be a hit if you do this. Every girl you see that you're like, encountering and meeting again,
Yeah.
just say the same line. Wow, you've really blossomed.
Kels loves that word, blossom.
Hey, it's good to see you. And you've really blossomed. And they're going to be like, what does he mean by that? Just confuse everyone. And it's kind of creepy too.
I did.
Hey, good to see you again. You really blossomed.
You really matured into a beautiful young woman. I hate that.
There's so many ways we could destroy your reputation.
Yeah,
just let me. I'll give me put an earpiece in that night and let
Should
me
I
just
s-
tell you what to say.
Should I go for an embrace after?
Yeah,
It's been so lovely to see you really blossomed.
no, you don't do a front embrace. You come from behind. You give them a hug from behind, and say, "It's good to see you again." Yeah, they'll love that.
Okay. I always took my advice from you growing up.
Hugs from behind and talk about them blossoming.
Yeah. I'm going to do it.
You've really
Class of 04, get ready. I'm really excited to see how some of you women have matured.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll get up and make a speech. It's like, because a lot of people drink now, right? So it'll be like normal if I'm like calling a toast, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
Oh, I'd love if you stopped the party with the
Yeah.
toast.
it's like, hey, my name's Alex. Help. Some of you knew me.
I've hugged a lot of you from behind tonight. It's good to see you all.
I just want to just let you all know how grateful I am, how much you've developed and blossomed over these years.
Yeah, that's gonna work out nice. But I think you'll enjoy the party. I think it's fun.
Okay,
to
cool.
see people again.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a great high school year. You struggled.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I was right in the high of junior high. And I hit a brick wall in high school. A lot
Your
of the same.
jokes
I was
weren't-
just using the same joke.
Yeah, same material. You didn't.
Eat my shorts. That type of stuff was so funny.
Yeah, you
Bite
could
me.
Yeah, you could quote
Yeah.
The Simpsons a lot in junior high. High school
Couldn't
was
get
like-
away with that. They were too sophisticated,
Yeah,
and it was hard. It was hard with all these girls yet to have blossomed around me.
it's a bummer that they haven't blossomed. But you're gonna. It's nice now that they have. So you'll have a chance to tell them.
I will.
Oh, this is not gonna make the pod, but we'll see.
Oh, actually, I have a question for you. Do you ever get like mistaken for like not like mistaken, but people be like, "Hey, you look like so and so," like a celebrity or a person, more famous than you?
You're not gonna like this answer because I have no answer.
Really?
No one's ever told me I look like anybody. They're like, you are so unique and great as yourself.
There is no one
you
else like
compare
you.
to no one. But no, I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Like your wife's like,
My
like,
wife
hey,
would, no.
she would never compare you to anybody.
No, and if people have told me that, I end up like just forgetting about it. I don't let things go to my head like you.
No, you do look like there are.
Are you going to tell me who I look like?
No, there have been times when me and Kelsey watch a show where I'm like, he looks like that guy, but it's never like a flattering character. It's like so I don't want to, I don't ever tell you because I'm like, hey, this isn't.
I can take it.
No, I'll come up with one that you look like. But
What about you?
the main point of me asking you a question was to inevitably bring the conversation.
Yeah.
back
So
to me.
back to you, because you do look like you could pull off many races, many people. It looks like Elvis and Aaron Rodgers had a love child.
Yeah, for sure. The one I get the most though is Scott Disick. Like I feel
I
like
can see
even
it a
like
little bit.
people like really, and I'm very honored, right? Because Courtney was the best looking Kardashian, back in the day. But anyways, like Lord Disick, so I like would run with. Now I like run with it to where I'm like, okay, I got to keep this up because it's a high. You feel like you're wearing another man's skin. You're just excited when people like mistake you for
This
him.
is
Right?
getting weird, but go on.
But then lately, I don't know if you've seen Disick lately, but I think he's on the Ozempic.
Yeah, he looks bad.
And this is the hard thing with celebrity lookalike for the lookalikes of the celebrities.
You have to do this.
I'm gonna have to get out of Ozempic
and just look bad
because this is like it's so important to my personality. I've changed everything for this man. I've given him everything,
Yeah.
And so I got to keep up with that because it hardly ever happens now where people are like, hey, Lord Disick.
Yeah, because you don't look like him anymore.
No, because those sunken eyes he's got now.
What I have ran into is I've had people over the years be like, hey, you look exactly like my friend. And I don't like just say like, oh, I like say, hey, pull him up. So there was like 4 or 5 years, I got a lot of that. And I would hit them up on Facebook and I was trying to create this lunch.
Yeah.
Where all these random people who looked like me got together for lunch and we were going to get the ultimate picture. And I would send messages to all these losers. They look like me, but they're not as cool as me. Cause I'd be like, hey, we look a ton alike. I can see it. You can see it. Meet me at Red Lobster or whatever. Yeah. Red Lobster seemed like a great place we could meet up. I think it's going out of business right now anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to do that. And I saw like 6 of them. And like most people say that and you're like, I don't see it. I saw it every time. I was like, holy crap. That's me. But I'm with
well, as this podcast gets more popular and people are like, bugging you for autographs, it'd be nice to have like a stunt double. Being like, hey, I don't feel like doing this event.
If they respond back to me, I mean, I've sent them hundreds of messages. Yeah. We look alike. We should be together.
Yeah. The most embarrassing thing I got mistaken for though, when we were in Newport, you were here for this. And my boy who was 3 at the time, he starts walking up to a very heavy set, very dark skinned Saudi Arabian dude, right? Like darker skinned. And again, like the Saudi and the skin color didn't bother me, but like this guy was heavy. And he just walks up to him and like chasing his dad, right? Like thinking it was dad, like calling him dad. And the guy just like tried to stay away from him. And my wife's just filming it because it's so funny because he's just following this guy around thinking it's me. So
I would have put past Kelsey to cheat on you with the Saudi.
Well, for sure. They got all the buddy.
We antagonize our wives a lot on the show, but every protagonist needs an antagonist to like get them to, conquer the movie or the story.
For sure.
And that's kind of what we're doing.
Well, we're heroes. There's no heroines. I mean, in this story, it's just us as the heroes. And I think people who know us too are like, yeah, you drew the short straw with your wives. Like, you got some bad eggs.
Oh, God. So, all right. We usually cover what we're watching weekly. Mm-hmm. What did you watch this week?
So I actually finished Fallout. Yeah, and it had some like weird parts, but for the most part, I
actually heard from a neighbor that's really good too.
Yeah, it's just like it's kind of fun. It's got good cameos from like Fred Armisen, like some of the other like old crew. But it's good. Like I wouldn't recommend it to. I'm not gonna come up here and give it a bold recommendation.
Yeah,
but
you liked it.
Yeah, it's fine. What about you?
I'm watching that. I finished those other shows I told you about last week. I'm watching the Physical 100 season 2. You ever heard of Physical 100?
Is this the Korean show?
It's a Korean show.
Gosh,
it's actually really good. They take the top 100 athletes that are willing to participate. Mm-hmm. I'm talking from rugby, from wrestling. They have Olympian wrestlers, gold medal wrestlers, gold medal runners.
It's on Netflix.
CrossFitters. Yeah, it's on Netflix. And it's actually awesome because they weed them down. And women too compete.
Yeah.
And it's very physical and they beat each other up in these things. But they just started season 2. Season 1 was really good. I don't want to give too much away if you're going to watch it, but
well, as a critique, if I may,
yeah,
this show is awesome. He's right. It's really, really good. It's kind of like a fun idea, and even the dubbed English is cheesy, but it's like fun.
This is what they say. It's like,
But
he's so strong.
He's so strong.
He's so strong.
Cool.
And they can't stop bowing. It's like so much respect.
Yeah. But the flip side is whenever somebody falls or like gets eliminated, they showed 10 different replays.
Yeah, the editing, the Korean style editing is, it's you pretty much watch the show 3 times.
Well, I didn't end up finishing it because that was exactly it. I'm like, it's taking me an hour to get through like 3 eliminations because they're showing every angle of this thing. It's like they got
his physique.
Yeah.
He's so strong. What courage. Yeah, it's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty fun, right? But it's fun to see like, because I can't imagine that happening here in the States where we're getting like our top football players, basketball players, wrestlers, and like the top guys do it. They actually have top like gold medal winners in these things. So they have gymnasts, and it's interesting to see which ones excel in which events.
Yeah.
Because they get a lot of bodybuilders too, and the bodybuilders don't have the endurance, but they're strong.
Yeah.
And then they have like sumo wrestlers. They have everything. So it's kind of cool to see them whittle it down to like the one guy that's like overall best.
I remember watching one in season 1, and this just kind of sumo guy was doing this, like having to guard this ball from being taken.
Yeah.
And he's just,
do that.
I mean, he is just working these people. But then when it came to hanging, they had to hang on from like this rafter.
Yeah.
He didn't last very long at that.
They do running events. We have to do that, and they get killed. And they kind of know they're going to get killed in that because they do a lot of strength ones too. Yeah. But I'm on season 2 right now, and it's getting going good. They get a lot of MMA fighters in there too. Mm-hmm. And they seem to be the most respected by the other athletes.
Yeah.
Like when the MMA fighters, like the UFC fighters come in from Korea.
It must be really popular there.
They like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy's here.
Yeah, because you have these like super hot like models that are competing, and
they have a lot of YouTube. They have a lot of
no
dancers.
Respect compared to
what is it, K-pop dancers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a lot of those over there.
Yeah.
So that show's been good.
Like just bringing our podcast back full circle. I need to get an AI girlfriend, K-pop girlfriend. That's an idea.
Let's put on the list, and we'll start chatting with people. Yeah. I don't know if Stella hangs with that crowd. I'm actually limited in how many things I can say to her. Liz found out about me and Stella. Oh man, it's pretty fun. We'll see what she has. I'll limit it to once a week. I'll talk to her and I'll review on the pod with you.
Yeah. One day it could be you and Stella doing this pod instead of me. If you play your cards right.
I'm hoping that day comes soon because she's so respectful.
Yeah. Okay, so say you're stuck on an island and you can only take 3 movies to watch. You got a working VCR.
So I'm not even getting the whole VCR. I'm probably getting the whole widescreen. I'm getting cropped movies.
Well, I'm just trying to be realistic because if you're on this island, and you end up with a sweet setup, then that's wrong too, right? I'm just trying to like keep a steady hand in this supposed.
Am I trying to get off the island?
Yeah, I want to say you want to progress. Like generally, you want to progress in life, right? So you might see that as getting off the island. Other people, like the founders of cities like Hong Kong, would want to make beautiful the island that they're on, right? So
I'm gonna go with Castaway as my number 1. So I can always refer back to Tom Hanks and what he's doing. So I can try to get off the island the same way. He's very resourceful. Mm-hmm. So I can use that as like my resource.
Interesting you didn't go with Swiss Family Robinson as your...
Well, Swiss Family Robinson, they're getting attacked by these pirates. I don't expect a bunch of pirates to show up and I have to like throw coconuts and stuff down on them. But so that'd be cool.
This is why, you got to be more prepared, a little more prepared, but go on.
No, I'll do that too. I'll dig a couple holes and put some tigers in there.
Good.
That's probably the oldest reference we've made. But I would have that, and I'd need entertaining light movies because I could get depressed. So I need to be like light. So I would have, like, I don't know, Schindler's List would be a good one to watch. No, you need like a Adam Sandler movie or Will Ferrell movie. I would say like Old School or Anchorman or one of those would be fun to like just turn on at night. The sun's going down, just me and my island. Mm-hmm. And the last one, I would say I would do like The Departed. I need something like some crime show.
Yeah, something you can really like critically acclaimed.
Yeah, something that's kind of fun too.
It would bring you back to like, even though you might be eating lizards, it's like, at heart I have a...
Yeah, I would take those 3 would be probably, I don't know how many movies. I mean, they would get old no matter what. So
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
What
I mean,
about
for me, it's like, the most boring answer in the world.
all 3 Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
All 3.
No, you're right. I would probably just do the first Lord of the Rings, like the Fellowship, right? Because even like the music, like I could just have that playing in the background while I'm like trying to create coconut bombs to fight off the
Yeah,
pirates.
and tell the viewers, like, if you walked into our office now, you would hear Lord of the Rings soundtrack playing. Like you're ready to like storm Mount Doom.
Yeah,
At
but
all
you
times,
never
yeah.
know, right? Like Gandalf once very wisely
Or walking. It's pleasant.
Gandalf once said, "Even the very wise cannot see all ends." Right? So we don't know what's going to happen in our lives, what quest I'm going to be called on, but I want to be prepared.
Yeah, it is nice to walk into the office in the morning and like the Shire music's playing.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
It's a good one to walk into.
Okay, so you got that one.
I really love, like, it's offbeat, but this is one that like I think you can appreciate too. Is like a Mad Max Fury Road of just like something that's just you can watch and you sit and you're just watching it the entire time. You can't walk away from that show.
Are you excited for Furiosa?
I am, and I'm not. It's so hard when something's been great. Like Lord of the Rings is the best example of this, right? Where it's like, and they made those a year apart.
Yeah.
And it was so great, but it was still like the second and third were still a decline from the first one.
I have high hopes. I don't think that director is going to get too crazy, too offbeat. I think it'll be really good. So I'm super pumped for that movie. So today in history, let's cover that segment right now.
Yeah.
So you know what happened today?
What happened?
George Washington was unanimously voted in as president.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You know much about George?
I know a lot about George.
Let's start from the beginning. What do you know about George? And I'll see what I have.
Okay, so here's a guy. He is very prominent in the French Indian War, right? He leads an American battalion into this battle, and he actually screws it up big time.
He botches it.
He botches it, right?
He kills like it was supposed to be like during peacetime, and he kills like a pretty high up French guy. And so, not to take over, but I know eventually they like want to retaliate against the English.
Yeah.
And they come and just work him, and he signs. This is what's crazy is they have to surrender. George Washington surrenders to the French, but part of the surrender, he has this French guy translating for him, and he signs this thing admitting that he assassinated this high up French guy. And so, but George has always said he didn't. Like he's like, oh, that was like a translation thing. That was some issue. So he's never admitted that was the case, but he really botched that.
Yeah, I think he was I think if you look at his history, he was I think where he was really, really good was finding good pieces around it, being extremely likable. So people didn't hate him, and then finding talent around him and using that talent I think Napoleon had this quality as well, where he'd find really talented generals or really talented people and put them to work.
He must have been super likable.
Yeah.
Like to pull off, like to be that bad at the start of any war, like the French and Indian War, that was like over the Ohio territory. Essentially, France and England both wanted this area, and it wasn't going to be a battle, but like eventually, like George Washington kind of helped start that whole war.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a big part of that. But I think, as that war went on, he must have done a lot of things good. And I don't know like the specifics eventually, because it feels like once the Americans were ready to rebel against the British crown, he was set.
He had a lot of,
they knew
he had a lot of experience up to that point.
Yeah. And like still extremely well respected at that point. But even the Revolutionary War, it's very like, there's a lot of like criticism that could be thrown.
No, he lost more battles than he won. He just won big battles, like decisive
Yorktown,
battles. Yeah, Yorktown.
Yeah, he did. Yorktown was great one. But he you read Hamilton's book and it makes you appreciate Washington, I think, even more than Hamilton, because it was like Hamilton could be such like a arrogant, like young dude, and Washington would always like have like kind of a steady hand, like just knew how to keep.
Yeah, he was kind of like, because he had already been Hamilton during the French and Indian War. He was already like done and had all that experience.
But you don't realize how respected he was until you go to like Europe and see all of these statues that were erected at his death there in countries that had nothing to do with America.
Yeah.
But just knowing the feat that he accomplished and the way that he was able to accomplish it, and to do so with honoring dignity. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, he won like both terms or whatever. He was voted in unanimously.
Yeah.
No one ever didn't vote for him.
Well, it was almost like there wasn't going to be
It
a
wasn't.
president
It was like, yeah, he
unless
was just
he
the guy.
was like, I'll be the president.
What would it have been like if there was a monarch, if he decided to be king? First of all, actually, that couldn't have happened because if you don't know, George Washington did not have any kids.
Yeah.
He had married Martha. Martha's husband had died like a couple years before, and she had previous kids from her previous husband.
Oh, interesting.
But they never had any kids.
Yeah, I don't know how it would have worked out, but he was also very.
Maybe he would have tried harder if he was the king. Like, hey, we gotta have an heir.
Gotta take care of this, like, because he'd have had some kid who had some posts during the war that was kind of cush and crappy. And no, I think Washington's like the one character in history who clearly was flawed, but also was very like down to earth enough to realize he was flawed. And I don't know if there's anybody that could have done what he did. I don't like America hasn't had a leader before or since that could have been like as wise. That's what, I mean, not to get back to Gandalf, right? But as wise, he was as wise as a wizard.
Yeah, he was as wise as a wizard. Yeah, that's kind of what they said about him.
That was the old saying.
Yeah, and you do know his teeth were not
sabio como vago. In Spanish, that's what this.
There you go. In case you cared enough to want to know Spanish. Yeah. His teeth were not wooden either.
Oh, they weren't?
Mm-mm. They're made of like other people's teeth.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all these different, but they were very uncomfortable in his mouth. So he'd avoid smiling.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was like kind of insecure about it, and it hurt. It was uncomfortable for him.
Yeah.
And he inherited slaves, and then in his will he did
freed them all.
He freed them all, but I don't know how hard he was on them.
So yeah, I remember reading a lot about this. He was and some of this could be propaganda, right? Because he's the country's founder, but he was extremely, the one cool thing about Washington, if you look where he was from, Virginia, it was extremely pro-slavery at the time. You had opinions like Thomas Jefferson who were terrible to slaves, right? Like Thomas Jefferson he sold off his lovers, who was his slave. He sold off her parents to pay some like things off, right? Like these are people that are even
what
like
was her name? It was
Sally.
Sally.
Yeah, but George Washington, you can see at least through his experience with who he aligns with, he ends up aligning with the Federalists, which were were more northern, right? Based out of New York. That's like Hamilton's group, who were also anti-slave, versus the Democratic Republicans, which were Jefferson's group that were more pro-slavery, right? So I think the cool thing about Washington is you can look back at your own political self and think about how you viewed politics. At least I look back at how I viewed politics when I was first married versus how I look at them now. And it's a complete difference on where I stand on positions as time and experience kind of has led me to that. And Washington's like an awesome example of, he didn't dig his heels in the ground. Like he understood that he might not be right now. And so he just seems more malleable in terms of like figuring stuff out and figuring out he was wrong about slavery. And I think he wrote like a lot of things talking about like how much he eventually dislikes slavery and that it exists. And obviously the best example in ditching or freeing all his slaves when he died. So.
Cool. Well, that was this day in history. All right, Alex, let me give you a hypothetical.
Okay.
You're a young, sexy
barrel
paleontologist, right? And you got this girl working for you you're dating. It's just, life's good. You don't have any kids. Everything's good for you. You're digging up bones.
Yeah.
You're writing books. Okay. And one day someone shows up, this really rich guy. And he shows up and he's like, hey, there's something more. I want to show you something. Right? And he shows you this park that he's designed where he's brought back real dinosaurs. Do you accept to go on the island?
Okay.
Or do you stay and dig up bones with your hot intern girlfriend?
Like, and the one answer that's going to like determine this is my intern girlfriend, is she like a K-pop star? Does she have that vibe, at least that kind of Easter vibe? This one,
she's very Caucasian. She's very
I think blonde. In that point, then I'm going to have to take the offer and go check out this this park of these dinosaurs because I'm not going to live in the past. Like what good does a horse and buggy manufacturer do for the world right now? Right? Nothing, you know? So it's like, I'm not going to leave my kids a legacy of books on dead animals when they can ride, rides with real animals, real dinosaurs.
That's why you'd be a perfect Dr. Grant.
Yeah, it would have been
in our movie Jurassic Park.
I didn't even see that coming. Oh man, you got to warn me when you're going that way.
I knew you had never.
I was wondering, like, this is so familiar. This idea
sounds familiar.
Yeah,
I would have stayed. I would have been like, you know what, your island sounds cool, but sounds dangerous. I can sit here and dig up bones and give my, my thoughts on dinosaurs evolving from birds. Would you still eat meat if the animals could talk?
No freaking way. I have a tough time eating octopus now after watching like The Octopus Teacher.
Really?
Yeah, and I won't eat dolphins. Even though I know it's cool now to eat dolphins, I won't. Like I will not.
You were on a heavy diet of dolphin for years.
Well, the whole world was, Mm-hmm. But no, I just think those
that would make you vegetarian.
I don't like smart. Like smart, the dumber the animal, the easier my conscience is. Yeah, I think like it depends on what voice they have, right? If they got that RFK voice,
yeah. But if it's
I don't know what's going on.
It's a Scarlett Johansson voice, and you're like, hey,
dude, I've never been hungrier for a boa constrictor than when Scarlett Johansson did the voice in Jungle Book. I mean, I was ready to carve one of those things up, gobbled up.
Oh, you're gross. Let's go. Let's end that sucker there.
That's probably good.